Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Let's have a conversation. Let's have this conversation about Nvidia and what happened. Guys, we've been talking for the last, 2 weeks about this Nvidia split that's coming up, and it happened. Today it happened. So I want to have a quick conversation with you guys on this live real quick, just to kind of give you an update on what took place in the market today with Nvidia so that we can be all squared away and you can begin to make even a greater decision about whether or not you are going to buy this stock, not buy this stock, hold the stock in your ETF or your index fund or your mutual fund and just chill. Or are you going to join the ruckus and the fray and jump into this thing, guys? So I want to have this quick conversation. Normally I don't go live on Mondays, but guess what? It's a big day today. It's a big day today. The Nvidia stock split over the weekend, 10-to-1 split. And so that if you owned a share on Friday, today you now own 10 shares. If you owned 10 shares on Friday, today you now own 100 shares. And why is this significant? Why is it important? Because this is the fastest growing business pretty much in America, right? It's the fastest growing business, and it's made a ton of people millionaires. Let's just be flat out about it, right? Nvidia has made people millionaires, and it's fun to see. You wake up today, Nvidia, I always make that mistake, but Nvidia is at $120 per share as opposed to $1,200 per share, right? More attractive, more people buying in. What happened? Just in case some of you don't know or didn't know, Nvidia, this is the weird part that most of you or a lot of people really don't realize or don't think about. But Nvidia was $120 stock about 19 months ago. Nvidia was a $120 stock in, I think, October or somewhere in late 2022, right? Only 18, 19 months ago. So let that sink in for a moment, and then you'll see why this conversation is really important now that Nvidia has went back down to $120 per share. Nothing's changed. You don't have more money. If you owned a share, now you own 10 shares. It's the same thing, right? Nothing's changed. You don't own a whole bunch more of Nvidia. But if Nvidia goes up like it's been going up, now you own a whole lot more. So the question becomes, Nvidia stock is roughly $120 per share, around there. Do you buy now, or do you buy later, or do you not buy at all? And do you chill? I think Nvidia closed today at around $121.79, right? Up 0.75%, 0.75, maybe up less than a percentage point today, right? I think it opened at 120 something, right? But 10-to-1 split today. Where are you at? It's not any cheaper than it was Friday. It just looks cheaper than it was Friday. It looks like it's more affordable than it was Friday. So let's be clear about that. Will Nvidia be the only supplier of, large language models, LLMs, or will they be the only supplier of AI? No, they won't be. They're going to have competition, big time. More and more competition, right? But will they be the main player in AI and AI software, AI hardware, data centers, GPUs for a while? Yeah, for a while, right? But every company has a shelf life. Every company has a start and an end. And it feels like this is the beginning for Nvidia, even though it's not the beginning. It's 30 years in the making, right? But their overhead, I think last time we got on here, we looked at their overhead. We looked at some of their profit margin. We looked at some of their expenses, and their overhead is low, super low, and their margins are crazy high, right? The only thing I see really hurting Nvidia down the road, guys, in my opinion, is competition, right? And the competition is going to be coming, believe it or not, from some of its some of its customers right now, right? We said the Max 7, Amazon, let's name them: Amazon, Meta, Apple, Microsoft. All of these companies are Nvidia's customers, but all of these companies may at some point down the road, whether it's 2 years or 5 years or 8 years, some of these companies are going to be producing what Nvidia currently produces and will be creating it and producing it at hopefully lower cost and more efficiency. But that's going to be down the road. I'm just saying, if you're looking at this thing as a whole, buy, not buy now, buy later, you got to look at competition because competition is coming, right? When other companies, when these customers of Nvidia figure out that they can make these chips, these semiconductors, and they can make these GPUs maybe better and cheaper. Again, maybe 10 years, maybe 3 years. We don't know. That's when I think Nvidia will really be at risk. But the stock split was today. Let's talk about it just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. Let me see what we got here. If you're coming in here, guys, do me a favor. Let me know where you're coming from, what city, what state, what country, what county, what hemisphere, what planet, what Milky Way, wherever you are. Guys, just let me know where you are. Let me see what we got here. Give me 1 second here. I'm just checking through. Give me a shout, guys. Let me know what you got. Let's see here. All right, good deal. All right, so looks like we got Mrs. Moore in the house. Good to have you, Mrs. Moore. Crafty Librarians here. Good evening. Mr. BC is in St. Louis in the house. Good to have you. Somebody said, should I buy now or wait for the dip in a few weeks? Will there be a dip in a few weeks, Jay? I don't know. That's not something that I'm going to sit here and promise you, Jay, that there's going to be a big dip in a few weeks. I cannot promise it, right? I don't even want to start I don't even want to think about promising that because I could be fully wrong, right? So I don't know. That's going to be a decision that hopefully you weigh all the things. We're going to talk about a few things here, but you weigh all these things and you make a decision. Nvidia is a public American semiconductor company that designs and manufactures graphics processing units, GPUs. Well, look what's happened to the gaming industry. Look what's happened. They also do some stuff with the mining, right, for crypto. Look what's happened to crypto. They obviously do AI. Look what's happening with AI. You can't turn on any of your social media devices now without seeing something having to do with AI built into the technology, whether it's Google, right, Alphabet, whatever it could be, Facebook, you name it, Meta, right? They're all incorporating AI. Here is our leader right here. So the leader in GPUs, semiconductor chips, they hold about 80% of the global market share. I think that's what I read. 80% of the global market share for this AI technology, right? So hardware, software, don't forget that. They got the Blackwell coming out, right? I think they said Blackwell's coming out in 2025, or did it come out already? Rubin is coming out in 2026. And then they also said something's coming out in 2027. So they are way ahead of this thing, right? Which is great. Good to see. Awesome. Glad they are. But at the same time, what's that mean for competitors, right? Look, they're in front of quantum computing. They're in front of data analytics. They're in front of, the graphics you see on gaming. I mean, they're all out there in front of everything. So they did a split. They did a split to increase the liquidity, to attract more new buyers, to give a perception that they're now much more affordable stock that you can purchase, right? Us retail folks, we don't like to buy stocks that are $1,000 per share. We really enjoy buying stocks that are $120 per share. That's why they split, right? They want to stay with their competitors too. I told you before, you look at Chipotle. Chipotle is trading over $3,000 a share, whereas McDonald's, Chipotle's competitor, is trading much cheaper. Wendy's and Taco Bell and Burger King and all these competitors to Chipotle, they're not trading at $3,000 like Chipotle. So Chipotle is doing a 50-to-1 split coming up. I think it was approved. I hope it was approved on June 5th. I didn't check. But the point is that the same thing with Nvidia. They want to get back down there with their competitors, even though they're, 20 times bigger than any competitor or more, right? So they just said, we're going to do a split. Split happened this morning. Now you look in your brokerage account, you got an extra 9 shares, right? Or 9 or multiplied by 10. If you had 1, it's an extra 9. If you had 10 shares, now you got an extra 91 shares, right? But Nvidia has this growth. Data centers, AI demand, gaming, like I said, crypto mining is big, automotive sector, you name it, all that stuff. They're there, right? Huge, huge, huge. Are you going to buy now? Or are you going to buy later? Or are you going to buy both? Let me know in the chat real quick, guys. Let's see what we got in the chat. Mrs. Moore, we said, is here. I appreciate you as always. Let's see. Somebody said I bought it for $240 when it dropped in half. Glad I stuck with it. Congratulations, Jimbo Slice, right? Congratulations. You were buying it at $240 per share. Boom. Congratulations. Remember, 18 months ago, I don't know. Let me pull it up real quick if you guys don't mind. Let me just pull this thing up real quick. Might as well, right? Let me pull it up real quick and just show you what we're looking at here. I'll share my screen with you guys, right? Getting better at this. I'm getting better at sharing my screen, I guarantee you. Let's see here. Okay, there it is right there. All right. If you're watching on YouTube, I just shared my screen. I'm going to go and make myself a little bit smaller in the screen. And as you see, that's where we ended up today, right? Right about what 121, I think it's 121.79 where I saw it earlier, but 121.77. Let me refresh the screen and make sure we didn't miss anything here. Got a different color. So, by the way, let's go back and look at some of this stuff, some of the historical. See if we can find the historical here. Year to date, started off at the beginning of the year, January 1st at what? Let's see here. January 1st, we started at, I can't see. I can barely see. I can barely see, guys, believe it or not. My eyesight is horrible. Oh, it's not going to show me that what it show. It's not going to show me, but I'm just showing you the growth here because it's not actually going to show me. It's going to show me with the 10-to-1 split breakdown, and I don't want the 10-to-1 split breakdown. But here's the growth, just so you're curious. Looking at the full growth over the course of 5 years, huge. And as I said before, 18 months ago, it was trading about 120. Now, here's the deal. I don't think it's going to go up to $1,000 per share in the next 18 months. I don't see that happening. Now, if it goes to $1,000 per share in the next 18 months, a lot of us are probably getting pretty wealthy again off of Nvidia as well. Because I know a lot of people already got wealthy off of them. But let me see what you guys say in the chat. Let me go back to the chat. Stop sharing my screen. See what you guys say. Do you have it? Do you not have it? Atlanta's in the house. South Carolina's in the house. South Georgia is in the house. That's my southern accent. North Kakalaki's here. P. Rand, good to have you. Orlando's here. Good to have you. Aloha from Honolulu. Honolulu. I own 11 shares of Nvidia at the moment. Fantastic. American Patriot. Congratulations. We got Joliet in the house right outside of Chicago. Florida's here too. We got some folks. Listen, guys, do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button for me. There's a like button. There's also some information in the description box. By the way, let me say this while I got you all captured here. Listen, I am going to be closing my Join YouTube. I'm closing down the Join YouTube button, right? That's attached to this channel. You won't be able to join me on YouTube, but guess what? You can join me over on the other site. And that there's a link to that in the description box. So I'm going to be closing down the Join YouTube site, but you can still join. And what I do right now, in case you guys don't know, is if you join my YouTube site and now join the other site, you pay $24 a month and you have a 20-minute conversation with me. I help you out with your personal finances, answer any questions you got, maybe get you on the right track in terms of investing, in terms of side hustles, in terms of real estate, in terms of growing your money, managing your money, budgeting, whatever you got to do. We talk about any and all of that. So I've got some folks that are a member on YouTube that have joined the YouTube channel, but I am closing down that, and you're going to have to join me over at the link that's in the description box. And that link is where, if you want to be a supporter and join me, it's $9 a month. If you want to actually have a one-on-one conversation with me, it's only $24 a month. That way I can help you personally. And that's super duper inexpensive, right? To have a conversation with somebody that can give you an entirely different look at your money is very, very inexpensive. But because I'm here to help, I'm not here to try to get rich off everybody. But the point is, I don't want to do it anymore on YouTube. I'd rather do it over at the other site. You'll see the link to that in the description box below. There's some other free stuff in there. My partner, Mint Mobile's in down there. They got a link down there as well in the description box on YouTube. Check that out. There's other videos down there as well. But I'm going to be bringing you guys on my other member site daily content, daily stuff, looking at these things on a daily basis so you can make better decisions on a faster basis with your money. Instead of bringing you a video every 2 or 3 days or a live every 2 or 3 or 4 days, I want to hit you every single day and give you more information, because I got some folks that are really starting to ask me some questions, and I just can't do them. And I can't get to those questions if I'm helping you every 3 or 4 days. I'd rather help you on a daily basis. So we're over there. That link is in the description box below. But you got to hit the thumbs up button for me so this information about Nvidia gets out to more and more people. It's $121 or $120 per share today. Is it going to go to $1,000 per share again? Now, listen. About 4 videos ago, I said, listen, Nvidia is going to be the largest company in the world. It's going to be the largest company in the world. 3 or 4 days later, I saw a story in CNBC that said Nvidia is maybe be the largest company in the world. And then I saw where it said Nvidia took over Apple as the number 2 company in terms of market cap. That happened a few days ago, and I think it dropped back down. But the point is, Nvidia is poised to take over as the number 1 company in the world over Microsoft. I believe they will do that in the next 6 months. Okay, that's my opinion based on all of the numbers I look at, based on all of the not just financials, but based on their margins, based on their their revenues, like their top line on their earnings report. Their revenues, looking at their revenues growth year over year versus their liability growth year over year, and versus their expenses growth year over year, right? It's like their margins are going this way, higher and higher, right? Their margins. So looking at their earnings report, and looking at all the things I look at in terms of an individual stock, I think they're going to be the largest company on the stock market, and go over that they went over 3 trillion a few days ago, last week, and I think they're going to go over Apple in the next couple of weeks. Okay. Yes, there was a slight dip today. There might be a slight dip in the next 2 or 3 days, right? We have some really important news coming out tomorrow. Not sure how or if it's going to affect stock prices or the stock market in general. But we got some really important news coming out regarding inflation, because the Federal Reserve is having their meetings today and tomorrow. The Board of Governors, whoever makes that decision on whether or not they're going to raise the Fed funds rate or lower it, we all are pretty sure they're not going to touch it at this point. I could be totally wrong, but they probably won't touch the Fed funds rate tomorrow. And it's priced into the market right now that the Fed funds rate may get touched by September, right? The September meeting, a couple of meetings from now. So I believe that the news we get tomorrow about inflation won't necessarily have a huge effect on the market. And I don't think it's going to have an effect on Nvidia, but I do think in the next week or 2 or 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, Nvidia is going to overtake Apple as the number 2 company by market cap on the stock market. And I think Microsoft, which is the number 1 company by market cap, is coming next in the next 6 months, perhaps. We just don't know. Again, everybody is ramping up their AI. Everybody is ramping up their need for data centers, their need for GPUs, their need for semiconductor, their need for you name it in terms of AI. And again, this is AI to me right now is what the internet was in the year 2000. So we weren't sure about the internet, but as I said before, the difference is AI rests on top of a platform that's fully mature and established. I say mature, fully mature and established, which is the internet, which is current technology. Current technology is right here and it's established. It's not going anywhere. We're not scared of it anymore. We're not upset. We're not mad. We rarely call into the question what we used to call into question all the time with technology, which is the ethical question. We don't even see that question very much. We see it a little bit here and there with AI, thinking back to, robots that might end up having, end up smarter than man or whatever, but we don't even see that anymore. And so AI rests on an established technology that's already present and not going anywhere. Therefore, I don't see us having the big dips in AI, right? Because it's everywhere, right? It's here to stay. And since it's here to stay, its largest player is probably going to be the largest company in America, the world, over Microsoft, right? Let's see. We got Janae from South Carolina, New York State, upstate New York. I'm a college student living in Missouri with 11 shares of Nvidia. Congratulations, American Patriot, killing the game. Good for you. Don't get overhyped, though. Don't get overhyped. There's still some issues with Nvidia that, we could talk about, but let's see. Seal Beach, California is in the house. Florissant, Missouri, which is right outside of St. Louis. Question currently. Thanks for putting a Q in front of the questions. Ayo, Marco, I appreciate you. Currently have 10,000 spare sitting in a savings account. Would at least half of that be a good investment into Nvidia? This is my first stock purchase this year. Ayo. That's the name. Ayo. Ayo, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm going to give you my opinion. Nothing I say on here is financial advice. This is just my opinion. All right. Now, in my opinion, I'd like to see the rest of your portfolio be at before I tell you that putting 50% of your 10K into one stock is a good idea. 99% of the time, it's a bad idea to put half of your money into one stock, because you violate the number one rule of stock picking or of investing your money, which is diversification. So the number one rule is don't put half of your money into one company. Great company, not a bad company. Things are going well. That's not a smart move. Okay. Now, I'd like to see the rest of what you have going on, because guess what? If you also have a 401k where you have about $900,000 sitting in it, or you have $600,000 over here in a S&P 500 ETF, and you're saying I got $10,000 to spare, can I put $5,000 into one company? Not a bad idea, because you got another $900,000 somewhere else. Okay, cool. But if it's your only $10,000, I would tell you first, do you have an emergency fund, right? Can you cover the cost of a broken down stove in your home before you go putting a whole bunch of money into an individual stock, before you go putting a whole bunch of money in any stock? Can you cover if something goes wrong and all four tires on your car go out tomorrow? Can you cover it? If you can cover it and you have an emergency fund, right, and you have very little debt, if any debt, or you have a plan to pay off your debt, and then you have an additional 10,000. So, there's so many variables here. But the point is diversification. Don't put half your money into one stock if it's all you got. Please don't do that. You got to diversify. You can't get caught up in this breaking news of Nvidia, right? You get all caught up in the frenzy and you make a mistake. Be very careful about that. I hope I answered that question, Ayo. Appreciate it. I'm a crypto guy. Hey, nothing wrong with a crypto. That's okay. Again, spread your money out. Don't be all in one spot. Good stuff. What do you think about Meta? Is it a good buy? Meta, a good buy, not a bad buy. But be careful with Meta. It's facing some challenges as well. Let's see. Smart Money Bureau in Nvidia on the run. Sam said, Houston, Texas in the house. Good to have you. Long on Nvidia, 5 to 10 years minimum. Me too. Same thing here, P. Rand. Appreciate you. Connecticut in the house. Good to have you. Let's see here. St. Louis, Missouri. Jay is here. Got two people. Jimbo Slices in Connecticut also, by the way. Let's see. California's in here. East St. Louis. Houston's here. We got folks all over the country, all over the world. Seattle, Washington's here. Now, all over the world outside of America, you're talking about 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m. When I go live at 7 p.m. at night in America, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, sometime I miss some of my international crowd, right? My Romanias and my Brazil and so forth, because it's a different part of the day. Let's see. Somebody said, how much Bitcoin do you think it is needed to be set? I'm not a Bitcoin guy. That might be a question for somebody else in the chat. I'm not a Bitcoin guy. I own a little bit of Ethereum, but that's about it. And I bought it 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Let's see. Bought 20 more shares today. Sense on the ocean. Good to have you in here. AI is not the future, it's the past. What is the future then, the Walla Mala? I think the future is AI. That's my opinion. Artificial intelligence to enhance businesses, everyday life, what you watch on TV, the movies, ordering at a restaurant, the way you search on Google or Bing, whatever search engine you use, not to mention our businesses, how they collect data, how they disseminate data, the speed at which they do everything. I think AI is the future, right? And I mentioned a lot of things outside of AI, but you get what I'm saying. Is if Nvidia gets to $1,000 per share again, I will be a millionaire. PC said. Listen, that's what everybody is hoping. PC. Oh, it's $120 per share. Let me go out and buy 10 shares right now. If you buy 10 shares at $100, what's that? Let's say $120. 10 shares is going to be what? $1,200, $1,300, something like that. Now, what'll happen is if it goes to 1,000 again, multiply that by 1,000. And you're going to be up there. PC, a lot of people are hoping that. But guess what, PC? Nvidia has some hoops to get over too. Namely, any SEC interest in what they're doing in terms of cornering the market and being a monopoly, right? Thank you, Mrs. Moore. Guys, get those likes up. Hit the thumbs up button. We're talking about Nvidia stock. Nvidia's $120 today per share. Do you buy it now? Because we know that past performance is not an indication of future performance. We get that. However, Nvidia, 2 years ago, Nvidia was trading at $120, $130, $150. And then it shot up, right? OpenAI, GPT, all those things shot up to $1,200. Now, this is almost unprecedented in the history of the stock market. I don't think it's really hard to put this into words because a lot of us have only been investing for a short time. But you don't get this type of growth over the history of the stock market. This is unprecedented type of growth. And the reason that I think we're at the beginning for Nvidia is because of what I see with AI and what I see with them as a company, right? You put all that together, not to mention the gaming, the crypto mining, and all the other things that Nvidia is a large player in. They're not just a tiny player right along with Intel and AMD. No, they are the behemoth. Like they are the Michael Jordan of AI. And Intel and AMD, they're like the Luke Longley on the end of the bench. No, well, Luke wasn't on the end of the bench. They're like you name the player that was the 14th or 15th player on the end of the bench. That's sort of where they are right now. And Michael Jordan is on the court, and Nvidia is Michael Jordan, the best in the league, not only on the team, but in the whole league, light years ahead of everybody else. But just like Michael Jordan, Nvidia has a shelf life. Is that shelf like 3 years from now? Right? Remember, they're a 30-year-old company, so they're not new in the game. But is the shelf life going to be 3 years from now? Or is the shelf life going to be 30 years from now? Or 10 or 15 years? We don't know. We just don't know. But I'm saying for the foreseeable future, it's not a bad buy. All right. Somebody said, I am investing long-term into SoundHound. I think the restaurant side alone will be big for them. I don't know who SoundHound is. You might share that with me, Sweet Tea. Somebody said I bought 2 shares today. Okay, 2 shares. See, that's the whole thing about a stock split. A stock split is going to bring in that person like One Set here in the chat who says, you know what? I don't want to buy them at $1,200 per share, but hey, it's only 120. Let me pick up a couple. Now imagine like a million people saying, let me pick up a couple, right? That's going to cause the stock price to go up. Ultimately, it may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 10 weeks, right? But ultimately, I think we're on an upward trajectory, and many, many companies, big companies, institutional investors are bullish on Nvidia. When I say bullish, I mean they are all in. I think there was a story today about Wells Fargo, another one a few days back about Bank of America. These are larger institutional type investors who want to get into a piece of the action with Nvidia. There were some large ones that sold off last week. But a lot of times that happens when people want to, when institutional investors want to sell off, free up some cash to go do something else. Maybe even do something like go get a little bit of an AMD, right? Nvidia's one of Nvidia's main competitors, right? Let's see here. Thanks for the information. You got it, Ayo. Anytime, man. Come on back in here with that information with more questions if you got it. Warren Buffett, the first rule of an investment is don't lose money. And the second rule of investment is don't forget the first. Absolutely. Hey, you got it. Got DC in the house from LinkedIn. Good to have you on here, and I appreciate you being here. Feel free to ask a question. Put a Q in front, and I can get to it quicker because I can identify it and see it better. West Virginia, Martinsburg is in the house. Good to have you here. Hey, we got somebody from Mars. Hey, thanks for checking in from Mars. Somebody said from Boston, Massachusetts. I can't do a Boston. Fort Lauderdale, Florida is checking in. Good to have you. Got Philadelphia here. We got Caraco. What is that, an island? Caraco. Appreciate you being here. Got 2 shares last week, somebody said. Congratulations. So we got some folks that are buying last week, but do we have anybody in the chat who is not buying Nvidia, not adding to it, don't want to buy it, are a little bit nervous about it, are scared of the frenzy that's going on around Nvidia right now? Are you scared of what's happening with Nvidia right now? Right? That's a question that I'm curious about because I want to address that as well, because there are some people that are not sold. And there's people who, when everybody gets all in a frenzy like this, they back out. They've been taught in terms of investing to say that when everybody is exhibiting some type of irrational exuberance, right? Everybody's hyped up. I need to pull back, right? And so if that's you, let me know. Let me know, is there a particular reason why you're pulling back? Have you done some financial analysis that led you to that position, or you just scared because everybody else is hyped, right? So that's a question. If that's you, let me know in the chat, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the chat and try to see what you say. But when I look at Nvidia's financials, they look solid, but maybe I'm missing something, you know? I don't know at all. Utah in the house. Good to have you. LA is here. Texas is here. Let's see. Anybody said they're not getting in to Nvidia right now? Scare. Augustine, by the way, do me a favor. Hit the like button, please, guys. Also, do me a favor and share this link with somebody that you may know who's curious and want to get some information about this stock and want to hear it from somebody who's, I don't have a course to sell you. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just on here giving good information and having the conversation that needs to be had about something that's important for individual investors right now. Whether you're an ETF person, whether you're a crypto person, whether you're a real estate person, whether it doesn't matter, right? We talk about growing our money, and when we see something happening that hasn't happened in our lifetime in the stock market, we want to talk about it. I want to introduce that conversation to you guys that may be new in terms of investing, and that's what we're doing with Nvidia by having this conversation. Somebody said, "How much do you think the election could affect Nvidia?" The election is gonna. I don't know if the election itself is going to affect Nvidia. But typically, if you look at the cycle of the overall stock market performance in election years in America, and by the way, this is the biggest election year across the world in the history of recorded history that we know of. 2024 is the biggest election year across the globe. I think more than 60% of all countries are having some type of presidential election this year. Huge. So typically, when you look at the stock market on election years in America, the stock market is down a little bit. I say down a little bit. It's not in the negative, not in the red, but it is, the S&P returns maybe 6, 7, 8%. I forget exactly what the numbers are. But the S&P returns about 6, 7, 8% during the years of elections. During the years prior to elections, every year prior to a presidential election in America, the S&P has returned about 13, 14%, higher the year before, which we saw in 2023 that panned out because in 2022 we had a really down year. 2023 we had a really up year in terms of the S&P. 2024 is looking to be around 6, 7, 8% of a return. Now, how that's going to affect Nvidia specifically, I don't know that. I just can't answer that. Not really sure. But guess what? If we're still counting votes through electronic means, guess what could probably help with the electronic voting? It could be Nvidia's technology that they do with AI. See, AI is everywhere, right? AI is at Burger King. AI is in the election results. AI is at your job. AI is in the federal government. AI is everywhere. Who's the leader of AI? Who has a 2, 3, 4-year run out in front of everybody? Nvidia. That's why Wells Fargo is bullish. That's why Bank of America is bullish. That's why many people are bullish on Nvidia, even with the stock split, right? Let's see here. Good question. I appreciate that, American Patriot. Somebody says waiting for $98. It could come. 120 today. Next 3 or 4 months, Nvidia could be trading at 98 bucks, right? Somebody said fear of missing out. Somebody said yes. Was that a yes? I'm not investing. Let's see. I bought 11 shares before the split. Now I have 110. Watch and wait, said Mina. Absolutely. I bought back in July of 2023. Congratulations, Johnny. What do I think about Chubb? I haven't done any research on Chubb necessarily, but let's see what Chubb stock is trading at. Right around 267. Okay. Chubb. I'd have to do my research. Guys, one of the things I do when I look at individual stocks, and I'm not a ginormous individual stock investor. I'm more of an ETF person and an index fund person. That's my preferred investment. I do have some individual stocks, a little bit, right? Because I have a little extra money to play with. But I do research. Before I make a recommendation or I tell you what I think, I do research. The numbers, profit and loss, revenue, top line, assets, liabilities, what the corporation is saying, what the footnotes say on the 10Q and 10K. I do my research over an individual stock. I just don't buy stocks based on what everybody else says. That's a poor man's way of buying stocks. You hear this, you see this video right here, this channel, this video talking about Nvidia, and you go out and buy it based on what you heard. Don't do that. Please don't invest like that if you're investing in individual stocks. Do your research so you can be informed, right? And so in terms of Chubb, what do I think about Chubb? I would have to research Chubb and not only look at the numbers, but look at the company, look at the industry, look at the prospects for the industry that they offer their services and products to, and see what we got going on, right? And look at the big landscape of investing in that particular stock, not just the stock, not just the company, not just the performance, not just the 10K and 10Q, but let's figure out what has the CEO had to say and the CFO had to say about the future direction of the company, right? How are they managing the company, right? What does it look like in terms of their industry? You got to look at all that and this is why I don't do individual stocks so much. I'm not a big individual stock investor because there's a lot of research and I try to invest in them the right way. And there's a lot of time that you have to put into individual stocks, right? If you're going to invest in them properly. Somebody said fear or frenzy. Never heard of that one. FOF. Dallas is in the house. Joshua, good to have you. If you don't pull back, you could end up holding the bag. Could be. Not buying now, but have some in an ETF, said Crystal Kinney. Have some in an ETF. There's nothing at all wrong with that. Keep in mind, I'm an ETF guy, but I like to give you full disclosure on ETFs. You got to know this if you invest in ETFs. You have to know this. When you invest in an ETF or an index fund, you will not see the large returns. You won't see them. If you had Nvidia in an ETF over the last 2 or 3 years, you didn't see a large return within your ETF. You saw them do well because Nvidia might have held a lot of weight in your ETF or your index fund, but you can never see the large returns when you have an ETF or index fund because ETFs and index funds by nature are designed to mirror the market or mirror what's in that bucket of stocks. It's not designed, ETFs are not designed to outperform anything more than what you have in that bucket. But when you buy individual stocks, now you can play the game of picking and guessing and guessing and picking and researching, etc. And you can outperform because remember, with risk come reward. If you have a safe ETF, not much risk, not much reward. If you have a safe bond, not much risk, very little reward. If you put your money in the bank down the street, in their savings account, and you get 1.1% return on your money, very little risk, no reward. You always got to keep that in mind about ETFs, pros and cons of all of these tools of investing, right? Somebody said there's a reason why there's a frenzy with Nvidia. I agree, Orlando. There is a reason. And I'm trying to tell you guys that these are the reasons, right? Let's see here. I just hit the like button. Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate you. Listen, guys, smash that like button for me. Hit that like button. We're trying to give you a solid, common sense way of looking at your investment in Nvidia. A common sense way, because I know studies show that 40 or 50% of all investors, retail investors like me and you, 40 or 50% are fairly new to investing in the last 5 or 10 years. That's what the studies show. That means that a lot of us that are investing haven't seen the ebb and flow, haven't seen bottoms fall out, haven't seen those top 20 companies that were at the top of the S&P 500 in the year 2005. None of them are in the top 20 except for one company. Help me with what that is. One company is still there in the top 20 today. We haven't seen the bottom fall out of companies. We watched Tesla go from the Max 7 in the last year down, way down. And for some people, it was a shocker. New investors who were all in on Tesla, right, lost a whole bunch of money on or have lost. If they've sold, they've lost a lot of money on Tesla. If they've sold, right? You don't make money or lose money until you sell, technically, right? So because of that, sometimes you guys, you don't need to hear the guy that comes on Bloomberg News, financial news, while you're working from home at home and you got the financial news on and he's giving you all this lingo in a 3-minute sound bite that you can't understand half of what he's talking about, and you got to stop and research everything that he's talking about. You got to rewind and you got to pause and listen. I'm trying to give you all that information in plain language so that I try to keep it very high level. I try to keep it very high level and not down in the minutia, right? Because I realize that everybody may not be there. We got different levels of investors that chime in here, and I want to help out the people that don't know much about investing as much as I want to help out the super seasoned folks as well, right? We got a little bit of everything in here. Somebody said 2 a.m. here. Where you at? 69, where you at? Tell me where you at. Don't know what city you in. Never bought stocks before, my MySpace said. What website should I use as a first timer? Okay, my MySpace. Excellent point. If I were you, I would take some time first to look at some of the videos I have on this channel under the playlist that says, I forget what the name of the playlist is. Check out some of these videos I have that talk about what is an ETF, what is an index fund, what things you should be looking at when you're buying individual stocks. Check out some of those videos and then ask questions. You can always reach out to me in the description box below. There is my contact information is there, but you can get with me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can get me at smartmoneybro.com, all over the place. Ask me questions if you want. And then I would say begin to look at a brokerage firm's website, such as Vanguard.com or Charles Schwab's website or Fidelity's website. When you go to those websites, they do a really good job at sort of educating new investors, and you can find articles and things in those. So that's where I would start to get the learning going, right? But Great question, my MySpace. Appreciate you asking that, guys. Don't forget, hit that like button for me. I've never been an individual stock investor. We have a lot of those crafty librarian. A lot of folks don't mess with it, and that's okay, right? The thing is if you know a little bit about it and you don't mind doing the research, then I don't. There's nothing wrong with, and you don't mind following a stock. Then there's nothing wrong with investing in 20 or 30 different individual stocks. So you can kind of spread your risk around. And at the same time, you don't have to do it either or. You can do both. ETFs, index funds, real estate, individual stocks, a little bit of crypto, a little bit of gold. Look, you can do it all. You don't have to limit yourself. Just know your investments. That's the important key. Know what you're getting yourself into. Don't invest in something you don't understand. If you don't understand AI, let me say this. If you don't understand AI, if you don't understand what Nvidia does, what their business model is, don't invest in Nvidia, right? Don't invest in Nvidia if you don't know Nvidia. Let me share my screen with you real quick. Let me show you something here, guys. And this is the beauty of any company, any publicly traded company that you want to invest in. Okay. When you want to invest in a publicly traded company, and I'll just present NVIDIA's, I'm going to show you NVIDIA's website, right? And the reason I want to show you their website is when you start to think about or consider investing in a company, please, 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 the very first place you want to start is their website, right? Is their website. Why their website? Well, their website is going to give you an idea of what they do, who they are, what their products are, what their when they say solutions, that's part of what they sell. They sell solutions, right? What industries they're in, and also somewhere in here you could probably find out what their financials are, a link to their earnings statement, right? You can go to the SEC's website to get their earnings, all publicly traded companies, but you can also get it from most companies' websites. So I'm on Nvidia's website. I'm showing this on the screen right now. And you can look all throughout Nvidia, and in their footnote or footer of their website, there's the About Us, there's the company overview, there's the research, there's their information technologies, careers, newsroom. In other words, those newsroom is what's going on with the company. There's the blog, the technical blog, and the popular links, developers, etc. Documentation, technical training, all this stuff is right here. Investors, right? There's a link for investors or people that are looking to invest, right? So you can figure out a lot by going to a company's website. I clicked on investors and now I'm in investors. There's news, there's stock information, there's financial information for this company, Nvidia. There's their press releases. There's their Q1 2025. That's their latest 10Q, 10K, 10Q, 10Q. 10Qs are for quarters. That's earnings reports per quarter. And so all of this stuff is right here for you on any publicly traded company's website, typically, right? We can go to Broadcom, Eli Whitney, you name it, right? GE, Ford, Toyota, whatever, all of them's website will have this links to this information on there. And Nvidia is no different. You can go back and look at their Q1 from 2023 and compare it to their Q1 from 2025, right? So all this stuff is there for you. You have to do your own research. But if you don't know what a company does, do not invest in that company. Don't invest in companies just because there's frenzy around it or just because everybody else is doing it. That's the wrong way to invest, and that will cause you to go broke and lose your money. And the last thing I want you to do is go broke and lose your money, right? I want you to make money, not lose money. Let's see. Somebody said the stock market this year is hot with the presidential election. It's sort of hot. I think we're at S&P. S&P is a good measure, by the way. I think S&P is about 10% for the year to date. I'm not sure what it is, 10, 11%. Let's see. 95 people invest are in good. Okay. As long as demand is strong, Nvidia will do well. I think that's true. Some of you may be interested in saying, you know what? Nvidia is doing great, but guess what? I like their competitors. I want to see what Intel is doing and what AMD is doing. Two of their biggest competitors, right? Because in the AI, in every space, let me say this. This is something important too. Man, I got a lot of stuff I got to say, but let me say this. This is important. Okay. Whenever you have new technology and a leader in new technology, oftentimes 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, it's not the leader who is leading it, right? The leader was out front taking all the bumps and bruises and all the learning and then it's usually somebody else that comes along and starts winning the game or killing the game, right? So you got to think about that too. Nvidia has competitors. Nvidia has a competitor today that is going to be a primary competitor in 5 years. Okay. So Nvidia may go from 120 today. In 5 years, it may be trading at $400. But there's a competitor or two, at least one, who in 5 years is going to be trading right up there at $400 with Nvidia. The key is, who is that today? Who is that today? Can you identify them while their shares of stock is $80 and you can ride their wave up to $400, $500, $600, right? This is something else you got to be thinking about if you're thinking about investing in Nvidia, right? Buy now, buy later. What do you say? Let's see. Somebody said 90% VOO and 10% BND. All I need to average 8 to 10%. Just keep dollar cost averaging, right? Somebody said the people who had faith in the Nvidia got rewarded, was worth the chance. Absolutely. But is Nvidia done? See, I hear a lot of people telling me it's over. I missed the boat. You missed one boat. But looking at Nvidia and doing your research, is there another ferry about to dock? Is there another ferry about to dock? St. Lucia's in the house. Yannick, good to have you here. Let's see here. SoFi, more trashed, and I don't know what that means. ETFs and index funds are for the long haul, buy and hold. No doubt, Frank Ellis. I appreciate you chiming in with that one. Nvidia to the moon, said BF. Tesla is a big disappointment. Yes. However, this is why people don't like individual stocks, because you don't know when to get out. See, if you had Tesla in the ETF, let's say you had it in the S&P 500, Tesla didn't hurt you, right? Didn't hurt you because you got other companies. Tesla could fall out of the S&P 500. But if you have an S&P 500 ETF, it doesn't bother you as much. That's one company out of 500. Yeah, they hold about they held about 4 or 5% of the weight in the bucket, but that's just 4 or 5%. I got a bunch of other companies killing the game. That's why people like ETFs, right? Again, you got to decide what's best for you. Somebody said, Smart Money Bro, Alvira said, Smart Money Bro, we got burnt by Tesla. We sold at a loss. Sold at a loss. That's the danger of investing in single stocks. You don't know when to sell. You don't have a team of 25 investors or let's say a team of 5 people that's helping you add and take away. You got to go to work every day, then keep up with stocks. And you got to also take the kids everywhere. You got to go grocery shopping. You don't have time to sit for 3 or 4 hours during the day with 2 or 3 monitors in front of you, monitoring the candlestick and seeing what's going up and looking at trends and seeing this. You don't have time for all that. So when Tesla starts going bad, you invested by, not you personally, Alvira, but I'm saying people invest by reading the news. And you don't, so you get in, and you don't know when to get out. Next thing you know, your stock has dropped from $100 per share to $30 per share. And you didn't know because you was chilling doing other stuff. And now you lose $70 per share. If you had 10 shares, you lost $700. The point is that that's too much for the average new retail investor like me and you, or people who don't know how to invest. That's why I recommend to new people to investing, people who are new to investing, ETFs, index funds, until you learn the game, until you want to learn the game of individual stock picking, individual stock investing. It's not something that you can just follow some guy on IG and he's going to lead you to the promised land to become a millionaire because you're going to follow everything he does with his portfolio. Wrong on so many levels. And nobody's going to tell you that. I'm going to be the bad guy that comes out and tell you, don't do that. Don't follow smart money, bro, and invest in everything I tell you to invest in, because I'm not going to tell you to invest in anything. I'm going to tell you to do your research and do what's best for you and your family and your money and your generational wealth and your long-term investing and your portfolio, right? Because everybody is different. Drew from Daytona Beach is not Frank Ellis, and Frank Ellis certainly isn't Curtis Ball. I think Curtis is in San Antonio, and Curtis is definitely not Gimpy 91. Gimpy 91 is not validated, and validated is not Ron Green. We all are different. So you got to figure it out, and that's why investing is an individual thing. What's your risk tolerance? How much money can you spare? What industry or sector do you know about? If you know about the energy sector, because you worked in the energy space for a long time, good. Maybe energy is the route you need to go when it comes to stocks or ETFs or index funds. Maybe if you worked in oil and you understand the oil business, that's the route to go, right? Invest in what you know, what you understand, and invest only the amount that you can afford to lose. That's smart investing, right? And that's what I want you to be. I don't want you to be like a lot of people. Oh, Nvidia's going up. Have not even looked at Nvidia's website. Don't even know what Nvidia sells. Don't know the products, the nothing. But they hear everybody else and they go jumping at Nvidia, right? I'm just being real with you because I like to be honest about this thing and not sugarcoat, right? Not sugarcoat it, make everybody feel good, right? I might step on some toes here and there. That's all right, right? Listen, somebody says, still don't know if I should be buying Nvidia now or not. Insight, if you don't know if you should be buying right now or not, and you're unclear, then maybe it's not your time. Maybe it's not your time. When you do your research, that's going to make you clearer. When you start to learning and understanding what is AI, what are they doing, what's their space, what do they supply, what's their products, who are their customers that they're supplying this AI stuff to, what is Nvidia's spot in the gaming industry, what is Nvidia's spot in semiconductors, what is a semiconductor, what is a GPU, right? Graphic processing unit. Okay, so Nvidia, when they started 30 years ago, they were the company that took that old video game that used to look like Atari, right? And they took that old video game and they made it into video games, the realistic video games that you see right now. That's graphics. That's graphic processing units, and their abilities in that space right there is where they first entered the market, right? And of course, they've been involved in mining for crypto, and we know how crypto's gotten big, right? Recently, or in the last 5-10 years or so. But that's what Nvidia is. But don't let me tell you. You go read it, right? Somebody said just bought some Nvidia after the split. Somebody said get rid of your debt. That's how you start. No debt gets you rich. I like that fifth dimension. I agree with that completely. That's what we talk about a lot on this channel, is getting out of debt. Don't forget to hit the like button for me, guys. Hit the like button. You got to smash that like button for me. Also, don't forget to check in the description box of this YouTube channel. I got my channel partner, Mint Mobile, is in there. Also, again, let me make this announcement, guys. We have a little button next to us on YouTube that says join this channel. Well, guess what? I'm going to be closing that down. If you are a member of this channel, please go over to, or look at the link in the description box on YouTube and join me on Patreon. I'm going to start using Patreon. Join me over there. We've already been posting some stuff on there over the last couple of days that I'm not posting anywhere else. You'll get exclusive information. It's a small, tiny little membership fee, because I wanted to bring my membership off of YouTube. YouTube is kind of limiting me. I'll get a little more bandwidth over there. So we're over there. If you want to do, if there's some of you, quite a number of you on here that I do monthly one-on-ones with, right? Monthly one-on-ones for $24 a month for 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes. That's also at the link you see in the description box. We'll do that over there from here on out. We're going to close down the join button on YouTube in about a week, because I want to make sure I make these announcements so anybody that is joined can come join me over there. So that's in the description box as well. And again, more content over there in a wider space than what I can give you on YouTube. We can dig in. Over there, you'll see I show you my personal net worth, right? I'll be doing another one of those coming up in a few weeks where I go through my actual net worth with real numbers. so you can see that, right? I don't want to put that on YouTube, but I'll put it in the background for members, right? So we'll dig much deeper over there than we can get over here. So I just want to put that plug out there. There's a link to that in the description box. Also, 24 Laws of Money is in the description box as well, a free ebook. And there's other free stuff down there as well. So are you buying or are you waiting? Later or now, right? Now or later. How many used to like now or laters, right? Those were good, right? But now or later, are you buying now or are you waiting? $120 per share today, based on some of the recent growth that I've seen with Nvidia. Let me say it like this. If Nvidia goes to about $160 per share, I think $160, $165 per share, if it goes to $160 per share, it's going to overtake Microsoft as the most valuable company that we know in America. It's going to overtake Microsoft. I think that's of the world. I think it'd be the most valuable company in the world if it only goes from 120 to 160. By market cap, it will overtake Microsoft. I think if it goes up to $125 per share, it's going to overtake Apple again. It overtook Apple last week. I think that it dipped back down a little bit, but it's getting up there with the $3 trillion share mark. Microsoft is a little over $3 trillion total market cap. Apple is just under like 2.9, and Nvidia is right at 2.9 as well. But just $30, $40 more per share, this thing is going to become the largest and most valuable company in America or on the planet. I'm not sure, but it's definitely in America on the S&P 500. And I think it's coming. I think 6 months to a year, that's going to happen. I could be wrong. It could be sooner, but based on the growth, it's crazy. We haven't seen this before in our lifetime, but be sure you do your research. Somebody said these companies talk about AI is just another way for them to pump shares, which AI been here since the 1960s. AI has been around for a long time, but AI has not had a platform like technology to boost it. But here's the other thing about AI. AI has been around a long time, right? But has the world been ready for AI? Okay. Because AI was here in the year 2005 to an extent, but it hasn't been here to the extent that it's at now. And also, we weren't ready for AI. We weren't ready. There was people in the 1990s, and some of you guys remember 1990s saying, hey, the internet and computers are going to be the end of there won't be a 2020 because we're going to implode upon ourselves in America, and people won't be here anymore in 2020 because this stuff is going to overtake us, right? They said that about the internet, right? They definitely said it about Y2K in the year 2000. Remember that frenzy that happened? But so AI has been here, but we haven't been ready for AI to the extent that we're ready for AI right now. And I think that's the difference. Nvidia is only going to have small corrections. It's going up, way up, said Fifth Dimension. Nvidia is down in after hours trading. It's going to be down. Hey, guys, listen. Individual stocks going to do like this. They're going to do like Nvidia is going to do like this for a little bit, right? Ultimately, though, I think it's on an upward trajectory. I think a lot of folks would agree with that. Connecticut's in the house. Steve Andrew, good to have you. Spend $1,000 on Nvidia at 120 per share. Good for you. That's cool. Somebody said, what impressed me about Nvidia was all the solid companies that use their chips. Not only the solid companies, but the biggest companies on the planet use the technology that Nvidia is 2 or 3 years out ahead of everybody else. Everybody's using what Nvidia has. Excellent point. GRE and Industries, I'm late. Is the advice to hold Nvidia or to sell? The advice is to do your research and make the best decision based on what you believe and how it fits your investment style, your risk, your investment plans and goals. So GRE, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you how to think about how to make that decision about what to do. Right? Because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy who has been around for a long time and kind of been in the game for a while and have seen some things, and I can help you guide that decision making, because that decision making is what. Now, I'm not a Kramer, right? I'm not going to yell and scream and put stuff on the board and splatter stuff on the wall. And I think that he used to break watermelons or something. I don't know what he did, but that's not me, right? But he's right. If somebody said never fall in love with a company, be careful. Be careful. A lot of people fell in love with Tesla. Not that Tesla won't bounce back, but a lot of people fell in love, and a lot of people had end up selling their shares for a loss, like we had somebody in the chat say, right? Selling for a loss. Guys, we have almost 700 people in here. We got to hit the like button. Smash that like button, guys. You got to give me that thumbs up. Please give me that thumbs up so that this information, YouTube identifies this information, says, yep, we got to get this out to some people, right? It just pushes the information out. And it's not, this is not, I don't want to show you a bunch of charts and go through a lot of the technical stuff because, again, we have new people on this channel. And I want to make sure you guys understand there's some basics and we can dig in. Listen, join me on the other channel. We'll dig more into the details, right? Let's see here. Somebody said, how do you make money in the S&P? Add money to the account? Yes, buy the book. You buy the S&P in an ETF or an index fund, like a, what is it, VOO or VFIAX on Vanguard, but other platforms have other ticker symbols for it, right? You buy it in an ETF or an index fund, and you just contribute to it on a regular basis, what we call dollar cost average, DCA. Dollar cost average just means that at regular intervals, you put the same amount of money in, no matter if it's up, if it's down, if it's sideways, if it's upside, backwards, whatever. You're just steady putting in $200 every 2 weeks, $500 a month, $100 twice a week, whatever it is. You're just steady funding it. Dollar cost average into the S&P. That's all you do. Let's see here. Would you hold Nvidia stock now or sell it? I think Nvidia is a hold. I really do. Because of the growth potential, I think it's a hold. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it's a sale right now. I don't think it's anywhere near its peak, right? And you buy low and sell high. You buy low and sell high. But you know what happens to most people? A lot of people in the stock market, they buy it high and they sell it low. Tesla. Oh, I want to get some Teslas trading at $200. Yeah, great. Let me go out and tell. Tesla goes down to 140 and they get rid of it. People, because emotionally, people do the opposite of what they should be doing. They buy it high and ultimately they end up selling it low because they're scared and they're investing out of fear. Number two rule of investing is take the emotion out of investing. If you're really hyped on a stock or something, get the hypeness out of your system. Get the emotion out of your system. Get all of this. If it's anger, get it out of the system. If it's happiness, get it out of here. If it's joy, if it's not joy, if it's happiness, if it's anger, if it's anxiety, get it out of here. You get all the emotion out of your investing and you invest based on rationale, right? What is actually going on with the numbers, the company, the CEO, the direction, all of that is how you need to be investing. But people invest based on these irrational exuberance, which is what's happening right now with Nvidia. And I'm trying to slow you down and say, do your research before you decide to buy or wait or sell. Do your research. Okay. Utah was in the house. Skywalk Hammer, good to have you. Imagine if Intel would actually manage to pull themselves out of the gutter. Yeah, if Intel could do it, if AMD could do it, and listen, all of these companies are going to benefit from what's about to take place with AI. Not just, so in other words, yeah, Nvidia has 80% of the share of that industry. But as Nvidia does like this, AMD is going to do like this, perhaps. Right? More than likely, I could be wrong. Intel could benefit from what's happening with AI, right? It depends on a lot of things, not just the numbers, but also them as companies as well and how their leadership handles things. Let's see here. And I'm way behind the chat, guys. I apologize. I'm going to actually try to catch up because I don't want to be so far behind. No risk, no reward. Yeah, no risk. Right. Gotcha. Somebody said, let's see here. Never ever invest money you can't afford to lose. You're not joking. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Long Beach is in the house. Good to have you. How much does inflation affect a stock price? It's a good question, right? Let's think about it. Let's think about it from a really logical standpoint, American Patriot. Prices go up. Prices go up. They're skyrocketing. Whoa, inflation's going crazy. Inflation goes way up. Inflation goes way up means that the average consumer has what? Less money for discretionary purchases, right? Because if they're spending more money on bread and milk and more money on rent and more money on all those things that are affected by inflation, it means they have less money to invest. That's what happened in the year 2022. You guys remember in 2022 when inflation went, the CPI headline inflation went to 9.5% in the summer of 2022, I think June of 2022. Well, guess what happened? Also in 2022, where was the S&P 500? Way down. I think we were at negative 18 or negative 19% for the year of 2022 with inflation. I mean, with the S&P 500, way down. It was also the year that inflation was way up. So when people have less money to spend on investing because they're trying to keep up with high prices, then typically the stock market is going to take a hit. I hope that made sense, American Patriot. Great question. But that's typically what happens. Now, there's other things that happen as well, but that's kind of what happens when with high inflation. Right now, we don't have high inflation like we had. Inflation has been steadily going down, right? So something to think about. Great question. I'm glad you asked that. JT Coin Rings is in the house. Good to have you here. Appreciate your support, man. Glad to have you as always. JT been rocking with me for a long time, so I appreciate you being here. And thanks so much for being a supporter of the channel, man. I really appreciate it. Miss V is in the house. Good to have you, Miss V. The only people getting rich is the owner of Nvidia now. That it's split. They're going to be getting rich. Hey, the guy, Jensen Huang, he has become the fourth richest person in America or something. Maybe he's higher than that, but he's gained a lot of wealth. That's for sure. Buy the book. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you more than you know. Said my family and I appreciate you. Smart member, hit the like button. Everyone, thanks so much. Buy the book for the super chat. I appreciate your support as well. You've been rocking with me for a long time as well, and I appreciate that. And you sharing this information with young people or people that want to learn to invest or people that are thinking about investing, right? I'm trying not to give you all the charts and that stuff because I really don't want to do all that at this point. I want to kind of just introduce it to a lot of people, but that's okay. We can do some of that too. We've done some of that as well. Our last live, we actually pulled up the earnings report for Nvidia, which I thought was pretty good to see. So let me do this, guys. I'm going to break out of here. Hit the like button on your way up. Smash that like button. Check out the links below in the description box for me. Don't forget, we're going to be shutting down the join on this channel. And there's a link in the description box on YouTube. If you tap that, you can join our other platform where we're actually going to be doing some behind the scenes stuff and taking you guys on a daily, I'm going to be giving you guys information on more of a daily basis. So appreciate you guys more than you know. Please, please, please do your research. Don't invest out of fear. Only invest what you can afford to actually lose. Know what you're investing in. If you want to buy some shares of Nvidia while it's $120. And I say that because I'm not sure how long it's going to be $120. I think it may go up. And if it goes up, you've got to make a conscious decision right now, today, tomorrow, this week. Should you be buying? Right? This is unprecedented uncharted territory for an individual stock. You won't see this type of growth happen probably it could be in your lifetime. So you got to be looking and seeing if this is something you want to do or something you don't want to do. If you don't want to do it, cool, no problem. You could always keep it in your ETF, keep it as an index fund, right? No problem, but you got to assess your own risk tolerance. Thank you so much, Leland Brown, with the $50 super chat. Man, I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you so much. Leland said, I used to work for Intel. It's not in the gutter. As somebody said, I think somebody said that. Thanks for bringing that out, Leland. I appreciate that comment. Intel, in some ways, has superior technology to Nvidia. Intel is more realistic than speculation driven based on the AI craze. I work in defense, and and I am exposed to most silicon architecture platforms. Leland, that's chat of the day. That's chat of the day. I appreciate you putting that information in there. I watched the address by Intel's CEO. Was it a couple weeks ago or so? Maybe it was a week ago or less. But Intel is doing some big things. Intel is doing some, but don't sleep on Intel. And Intel is not new either. They've been around for, tell me, Leland, they've been around for probably what, 40 years, right? They've been around for a long time in this game. So they know what they're doing. They know their competition. They understand their competition, and they know what they have to do in terms of introducing new products, right? New services, new products, new data centers, and all that, the spaces they want to get into with GPUs, what have you. Intel is a player. So I'm glad you brought that out, Leland. Thanks for saying that with that type of background and knowledge. We always got like really intelligent, smart people that come through this chat, and I'm very appreciative of that. Leland, thank you for the super chat again. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, somebody said the way they enter the market, SPAC, Nvidia. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I'm not going to hold you. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you got something of value from this information. That's the kicker. If you got something of value, hit the like button for me if you haven't done it already. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, we talk everything from investing. We talk about what the Fed does with the Fed funds rate, right? We do those things in plain language, right? We also talk about money management. We talk about budgeting. We talk about making sure you have an emergency fund, making sure you have your entire whole personal financial life together, your whole personal financial foundation laid, so that when it comes time to invest, you got the money to invest. When you see these opportunities like Nvidia step up, you got the money. But here's the thing. I don't like to see people doing a whole lot of investing when they got a whole lot of bad debt, or doing a whole lot of investing when they don't have no emergency money, or doing a whole lot of investing when they don't even do a budget. They don't know where their money's going, right? The fundamentals, the basics first, so that you can free up money for these type of opportunities that we may be seeing with Nvidia, or even with AMD or Intel, right? So I appreciate you guys more than you know. Don't forget, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and share this video with with people that you think could use this information, who are new investors or wanting to invest or thinking about investing, right? Appreciate you guys more than somebody said, thank you for the great information. You got it. Appreciate you over on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining me there. And thanks for joining me over on X, Twitter, and you YouTube channel people as well. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Without you guys, this channel wouldn't be what it is. So, hey, as I always say, guys, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Do me a favor, take really good care of yourself, but also take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.